So a problem that a lot of Muslim couples have, especially these successful, high-income Muslims that are very Cartesian and very rational, is they try to fix the problem, but they are stuck because their partner is in denial of the problem, and so that's a very frustrating situation. Why you can't see any positive future and any positive change in your relationship because your partner don't even acknowledge that there's a problem in the first place. So how do you do when you are in this situation? What should you do? Obviously, as a couple therapist, I've seen this situation many times. Being a therapist really is working with blocks a lot of time because you get these people that comes in your office and they want you to help them, and the reason they want some help is because they are stuck, and they are stuck because they have blocks. So a lot of time you work with blocks, and these blocks can have many forms, but obviously one of the widespread form of blocks are these denial kinds of blocks. So you work with someone, but he has an experience or he has a problem that he don't even acknowledge or notice in the first place, and sometimes they don't want to notice it. And we'll see what's denial in this video. Inshallah, I'll show you what's denial exactly. So I'll show you why you have this denial in your relationship. I'll show you which kind of denial exists in the first place, so you can recognize which denial is happening in your life and your relationship. And I'll also show you therapeutic stuff that we use as a therapist, like it's a high advanced level of therapy. Most therapists don't know this stuff, but talented therapists, you know this stuff and work with this stuff to get the people in denial to recognize the problem and to advance in the right direction. Inshallah, I'll show you everything. And the truth is, in the past, for people that don't know me, I'm a director of a Muslim couple therapy clinic. So I have my team of therapists. We try to hire the best therapists in the world, and we train them. So I have experience in helping Muslim couples, but also in training therapists. That's my thing. I get therapists, the best in the world, and I train them so they are even better. So we have the best team of therapists in the world. That's what we do. And so we have highly qualitative therapists that can help high successful Muslim clients. That's what we do. So I have experience in helping both Muslim couple and Muslim therapists, and what I was doing, the mistake I was doing in the past is I was doing a clear distinction between the kind of knowledge and advice I give to my Muslim clients and the kind of knowledge and advice I give to my Muslim therapists, because I thought therapy is too hard for lay people. I can't give this kind of knowledge because they won't be able to apply it in their life. And the truth is, I work so much with therapists to make it simple that I think I've come to a point where I can actually give this to lay people so they can actually use what they would get in therapy in their life, and they can try to get the right kind of changes. And I don't have to give these kind of low quality advices that really can work, but you need a lot of effort and trial and mistakes to make it work. And I think it's just better to give everything that I give to experts and that therapists are using, so you can use yourself, inshallah. So I'll give you non-BS real relationship advice to handle denial in your relationship, so you can get changes, inshallah, in your life. So what I should do, first of all, I should empathize with your situation, because denial is one of the toughest situations. Really, it's very hard to handle this kind of thing. It's very depressing. It's despairing. So you probably feel hopeless in this situation because it's normal. You just feel like you can't advance and go in the right direction if the other person don't recognize the problem in the first place. And yeah, denial is one of the biggest blocks, because of course, recognizing the problem is half the solution. So that's a big block in itself, and that's why this is so tough to be in your situation. And so I want to show you how you can handle the situation, and that's the reason why I want to show you this. The first thing is you can unstuck your marriage and be like this guy, like unstressed and feel well, alhamdulillah, by unstucking your marriage and fixing your relationship. And what I want to do, I want you to see changes in your relationship, because the reason you're so hopeless right now is because you don't see any changes, and so you can picture a future in your marriage, a happy future. So I think if you can get these small changes, you'll get more hope, and inshallah get more motivation to change things in your marriage, and then you can watch the other videos and can get a complete change and be this happy person commenting in my videos, inshallah. And the other reason is because it can give you better self-awareness. So actually, the thing I'll show you, you can use it on yourself to see if you don't have any denial, because yeah, my dear friend, maybe you are in denial as well. Maybe you see denial in your partner, but maybe you have some place of denial yourself. And so if it's the case, maybe you are creating problems in your life, in your relationship, but maybe in other places that you could avoid if you had more self-awareness. So it will help you reach this self-awareness and to be this chat person. Sorry, I put a white Caucasian guy, but if you're not Caucasian, you can imagine anybody you want. It can be any ethnic you want. It's not an issue, inshallah. It's just the only chat guy I found in the internet, but I know I'm speaking to diverse population. Allahumma barik, mashallah. So let me show you how we do this. But first of all, let me explain what's denial in the first place, because if you don't understand what's denial, you won't be able to work with denial. You need to understand what's denial. I know you're in a hurry to get the advices. I know you're in a hurry to get the tips and hacks and start changing your marriage, but patience. Need to be patient. Stay with me a little bit so I explain this to you so you can get the real change in your marriage, inshallah. So really, denial is every time you have a conflict between identity and experience. Every time you experience something that clash with your vision of self identity, you'll be in denial, because it's difficulty of the brain to process an experience that doesn't fit its framework, its worldview. Every time an experience doesn't fit with the brain worldview, then the brain resists this new experience. It resists it, or it explains it away, so it doesn't have to change its worldview, this identity you have, this vision you have about yourself. So that's really what's denial. It's a question of identity. So speaking about identity, I need to say here, I need to confess a little bit. The truth is, I neglected this part, this identity work in psychology and therapy. I neglected this part for a long time, even though I know identity work works. So let me explain this. It's a fact in therapy that working with identity is one of the strongest form of changes in all form of therapy, by the way, in behavioral therapy, in cognitive therapies. Working with identity is very, very powerful. When you work with identity, people have changes. And I knew this, of course. I've been studying this for a long time, and I'm studying all brand of therapy, so I knew this. But the truth is, I didn't like working with identity, and the reason why is because I found this to be too abstract. So I couldn't find a biological basis. And by the way, clinical work, I have a lot of people that have field practice experience, so they try things, and they don't understand the logic behind, but they see it works, and so they create methods around these kind of things, but that know nothing about neuroscience. And so that's one of my fight, because I'm passionate about neuroscience, and also I'm a Muslim, and I don't want to use any fancy weird kind of methods. So one of my fights is to try to ground my therapy on neuroscience, on observable empirical facts, so I can make sure that what I provide for Muslims is something that is healthy, objectively correct, inshallah ta'ala. So that's one of the reasons I neglected identity work for such a long time, because I couldn't find a biological basis, and I don't like to use things that I can ground on objective science. And so I found it a bit abstract, and so neglected it. And alhamdulillah, I could get many changes without working on identity in itself. But of course, it's a shame, because you have proof, a clinical proof that this is working. This was just too shady for me, too weird to use. So I just neglected it. And subhanAllah, like I told you, one of my fights is to reconcile neuroscience with clinical practice and therapy, which is very hard, by the way, because like most neuroscientists are very bad in clinical practice. They are, if you look for clinical advice among neuroscientists, a lot of time you get some very bad advice and very non-practical advice, and they just don't get it. And same thing for clinicians. A lot of some clinicians, they are very bad in neuroscience. They maybe know that you have a part of the brain that is known the limbic system, that process some sort of emotion, and that the prefrontal cortex is about decision and analysis. Yeah, this kind of basic neuroscience stuff, they may know it, but the truth is, if you really try to test them on their neuroscience understanding, they're very bad and they don't get it. And so there's a fight here to reconcile neuroscience and clinical practice. And so for that, I'm a clinician in the first place, but I try to study a lot of neuroscience. And when I was studying this, I read that in a book by Leslie Greenberg. He was quoting Antonio Damasio. So for people that studied neuroscience, Antonio Damasio is like one of these big guy, especially on the neuroscience of affect and emotion. It's one of these big guy, and that's where everything clicked. I could find a neurobiological basis of identity work, and I changed my mind about identity work. And so I think his insight will help you understand why identity is important and why your partner is in denial in the first place. Let me explain you. Antonio Damasio said that from the time you're born, from the first moment you are on this earth, your body strives for really three things. And so I'm just quoting Antonio Damasio, but I think can be improved, by the way. His explanation can be improved. But he said your body strives for regulation, which is to be balanced. So if you're dysregulated, let's say you are lacking something, so your body strive for more, and if you have too much of something, your body strive for less, and that's what regulation is. Your body strive for survival, so you want to survive, you don't want to die, and for meaning creation. So your brain, since the moment you're born, is trying to make sense of your environment and to organize things and get knowledge and insight about the environment. And where I think you can improve his theory here is actually your body strive for survival, and that's because it tries to survive. That it tries to be regulated and to create meaning. That's the reason. So it's all about survival in the first place. Your body is born, It doesn't get things, but it wants to survive. It has this system in it, automatic system that helps you survive. How you survive by trying to regulate, to be balanced, and by creating meaning. These are tools of survival. And so regulation, especially when you are young, it's attached and it's linked to attachment needs. Why attachment is to try to have connection with attachment figures, so with important person. And it's because you're a baby. Come on, you're a baby. You can't change yourself. You can eat by yourself, and you can't walk and protect yourself. So since you're a baby and you can't do nothing, yeah, you need someone important in your life, and this is attachment needs. Basically, you have a need of someone in your life to be regulated, and so from regulation come attachment needs. And if you are aware of my other content, and if you look at my other videos, I speak a lot about attachment needs, and they have a strong biological basis to it, and they are very important in your relationship. But now your body tries to create meaning, which is organize and understand the environment. Why? Because if you don't understand the environment, you can take the right course of action that will lead to survival, and you'll die. So you need to have a correct understanding of what's happening to ensure you won't die. And this creates identity needs, which is basically the brain is processing a set of stimuli, set of informations. Some of informations come from you, some other informations come from not you. So to be able to understand the world, the brain needs to make a distinction between what's me and what's not me. That's what the brain is doing. And so it has identity needs, the needs to know what I am and what I'm not, basically. And so that's where identity needs comes from, this process. And that's a survival process, because if you have a wrong understanding of what's not you and what's you, you have a wrong understanding of the world and environment. And if you have a wrong understanding of the world and environment, you can die pretty quickly. So that's a survival needs. And that's the reason why when someone's identity is threatened, it can have strong response in the person, and it can have strong distress in the person. That's one of my nasty secrets. I worked in Da'wah for many years, having had many debates with atheists and non-Muslims. And I can swear, sometimes when you are having a strong point, you can see the stress and the fear reaction in them. And of course, I helped many Muslims with their doubts as well. And that's the same thing. Every time they have doubts about Islam, it has a strong reaction because it's threatening their identity. It's a like survival response. And so that's the reason why identity needs are a big thing. And so I shouldn't neglect identity because it has a strong biological basis. I could not just understand it. And so you should not neglect this as well. And so you should understand that when you have this experience that threaten your partner identity, of course, will be in denial because it's a survival response. He feels threatened by this new experience. So we'll have a threat response, a fear response of this new experience will create denial. So you are handling with strong fears of death here. That's serious. And so that's important if you want to make the work. Now, let's go to denial itself. So you have two kinds of denial. The first one is denial of fault and responsibility, which means maybe your partner is denying the fact that it has a responsibility in the problem or that he's at fault here. And the other kind is experience. So maybe your partner has some kind of experience. Maybe he feels unhappy, maybe he feels angry, and he's in denial. Maybe he's, I don't know, he has some kind of behavior and he's in denial. So you would try to make him or make her aware. Look, you are having this problem, or you are doing this and this, and the partner is just denying. Let me try to give you an example. Let's say a wife that feel very jealous and possessive, and you try to say her, look, you may be a bit too jealous and over possessive here, and she's just denying. No, it's not the case. It's not true. Something like that. So some kind of denial of experience. This is one of both, right? And I'll show you what you need to do in both cases. So first case, if you have a partner, you discuss with your partner, and your partner deny any kind of fault or responsibility, here's what you need to do. You need to refocus on a no fault debate. You shouldn't debate about fault and responsibility in the first place. You shouldn't do it, even though it's intuitive. I know it's itching. Your inside is burning. You want to have this debate about who's at fault and who's responsible of the situation. Everybody wants it. Let me spoil things for you here. Being right or wrong won't make your marriage happy. That's not what makes marriage happy. You can be the rightest person on the world, and you can have no faults whatsoever in your marriage. It won't make your marriage happy yeah, at the end, right? So this kind of faults, who's at fault and who's responsible kind of debate is just pointless. It's just a waste of time and effort. You should stop to do that. It's really, come on, you're so successful in your life, in your education, in your job, in your career, in your business, and you're wasting time trying to prove to your wife or to prove to your partner, if you're a woman, trying to prove to your husband that he's the one responsible. Really, come on, you're better than that. So stop doing it, and you should focus on other things. And let me explain you why you focus so much on fault in the first place and why people want to focus on fault. It can be one of these two reasons. People want to focus on fault, first of all, because they want to run away from effort and change. So they don't want to recognize that they have faults, or they want to put the blame on the partner because they just want to do nothing. They don't want to do any effort and change. So it's easy to just say, okay, you're the one responsible, do something and change. And yeah, it's just a bad idea because once again, being right or wrong won't make your marriage happy. And so you're just wasting your time and effort. And the second reason people want to focus so much on fault is because they think it's an inside problem. So they think the partner is not changing. You're like this guy, like this crazy guy here. You think your partner have this all this thing, and the relationship is in a situation because you don't have enough insight, because you don't understand, your partner don't understand the problem, your partner don't recognize the problem, which isn't the case. Once again, it's not an insight problem. It's not a question of being more aware, of being conscious of the problem. It's a question of new experience, and I've made many videos explaining this thing, so you can watch the other video on the channel and I'll prove to you that it's not an insight problem. But in both cases, you're wrong. So if you have a partner that is in denial of being responsible, you should just stop debating about who's responsible. The fastest way to do it is, okay, I'm at fault. Just end the debate, even if you don't think it's true. Just say, okay, I'm responsible. Say I'm responsible. Just do it, and then you can focus on better situation, better conversation, because it won't change anything to just focus on this. But now what's interesting is focusing on denial of experience. This is way more serious. If your partner is in denial of some kind of experience, some kind of reaction, behavior, some kind of thought that may be counterproductive in your relationship, then you need to work on this. And therapists have two ways to fix these kind of things. So when we work with someone and we see this person has a problem, maladaptive kind of thought or actions or behavior or emotion, and this person is in denial. Like, for example, let's say, okay, you are angry at your partner because basically you feel not important, and the person say, no, it's not the case, but you know it's the case because you have all the everything indicates that it's the case. So the person is denying some kind of experience. So we have two ways to fix this, two techniques. The first one is part work, and the second one is attachment figure imagery. So you can use this for you as well, inshallah, to try to see if you are not in denial in some instances. Let's say some people tell things to you, oh, you have this issue, this wrong action, this wrong thought, or these kind of things, and you just don't think it's true. You can try to use these techniques to see if it's the case and have better self-awareness, inshallah. So the first one is part work. So what you could do, so you're facing your partner and you say, oh, I think probably you are angry at me because, I don't know, because maybe you have a bit of lack of esteem here, and that's maybe the reason why you are triggered every time, I don't know, every time I hanging out with my friends, because you have a bit of lack of esteem here, something like this, and your partner is just denying, no, it's not the case, I don't have any lack of esteem, and so you think it's getting your relationship stuck, and so you're frustrating now because you think your partner is in denial. So what you could do is say, okay, right, okay, you don't have any lack of self-esteem, I see, but do you see maybe there's a part of you, not you, but a part of you that may have some lack of esteem? So you see, you're not attributing the problematic thing on the person, but on some parts. So you have part works. Now you have a discussion. Tell me about this part of you that have some doubts, have some insecurities. Is there some part of you working with part? And part work is amazing, and it's very interesting, very impressive. It actually comes from a form of therapy that is called Gestalt therapy, and they do chair works where people have internal discussion with two chairs. So they just simulate this kind of conversation with two parts, the lack of self-esteem part and the denial part, and they can get a lot of changes working with these kind of things. But you don't need to go that far, of course. In therapy, you can just use this as simple questions like, okay, tell me about this part of yourself that may have some lack of esteem. And amazingly, the person in denial will then accept it most of the time. So you say, no, I don't have any problem of lack of self-esteem. And okay, good, you don't have any lack of self-esteem. Good. Tell me about this part of yourself that may have some lack of self-esteem. Is there any part of yourself that may have it? And then they recognize, yeah, maybe some part of myself, but not me, some part. And the reason why it's so effective is because, remember, there's a clash between identity and experience. And so if you're attributing to parts of that person, then you have no clash anymore. So it's way easier to recognize the experience. So that's the first technique you use. And the second technique we use, if part work isn't working, my recommendation is to use this one, which is attachment figure imagery. So what we do is we tell the person, okay, just imagine who's the most important person for you, except your partner, because he is speaking about relationship problems. But beside your partner, who's the most important person for you? So sometimes they will tell you, a lot of time, my child, or they'll tell you some kind of brother or sister, someone important for them. And the best is to take someone that is of the same gender. So if it's a woman, take a women attachment figure. If it's a man, take a man attachment figure. So if it's a woman, take her daughter. If it's a man, take his son and or sister or brother. I don't know, anyone that has the same gender and is important for you. And then what you say is, okay, let's say this person that is important for you. Let's say it's a woman. So let's say your sister, your little sister. Let's say she was in your exact situation. Would she feel a lack of self-esteem? And then, alhamdulillah, a lot of time people recognize it, because now it's not a clash between you and yourself. It's like a third view, a third person point of view on the situation. And then the person will say, yes, true. My sister, little sister, if she was in this situation. And the best would be to ask open question first. So, okay, your little sister, if she were in this situation, what would she feel? And a lot of time they'll say, oh, she would probably feel low, or she would feel lame, or she would feel unfit, or something like that. And then you get the answer. What she's projecting, or what he's projecting on that attachment figure, a lot of time is the emotion, is the action, is the thought that this person is denying in the first place. So you could do it. I don't need this with emotion, but you could do it with thoughts, or you could do it with action as well. Of course, you could say, okay, how would your little sister, your little brother would react in this situation? And the person would answer and say something close to what this person is doing. And then you would say, okay, do you think it's the proper action your little sister or your little brother is doing? And then the person often will recognize it's not the right course of action, and so will recognize the problem. And you could do this with a thought as well. So what your little sister, little brother would think in this situation, and do you think it's helping to think this way, this manner? And then the person will recognize the problem. And alhamdulillah, if the person recognizes the problem solved. Problem not solved, but at least you don't have any denial anymore. And so you have a person that recognizes it. And what's amazing with these techniques is, a lot of time you start with part work or attachment figure, then the person recognizes that action, thoughts, problems, things that this experience this person is not recognizing. And a lot of time they'll even take this from for themselves. So you could even just say things like, just switch to that person. Okay, your little sister would feel threatened, feel neglected. Okay, so you feel neglected, and the person will acknowledge it when you take these routes. But if you take the routes to just say, you should accept it, acknowledge it, the person won't accept it, never. So that's so what's amazing with this is, you don't even need to do too much work to convince the person that he is the part, or he's this attachment figure that is projecting. A lot of times this person will just take it from himself after the experience of working with part of attachment figure. So these are two effective ways to handle denial in your relationship. Yeah, and thanks for watching. What you can do, you can share this video to your partner, so your partner can maybe try to analyze himself or herself after watching this video and doing this on herself and himself, to just maybe have better self-awareness and stop being in denial. You can also share it to any friend, any person that you know that have problems in his marriage and maybe in this situation that can be helped, inshallah. And please leave a comment in the comment section, so I can have feedbacks from you and see what I can do to produce better content and help you better in the future, inshallah ta'ala. And yeah, and if you are watching this video and you want to have changes in your relationship, you need as well to get rid of some of these false beliefs that get you stuck in your relationship. So it's not enough to just work with denial. You may have some false beliefs that get you stuck in your relationship, and you'll never see any changes in your marriage if you don't get rid of this. And so if you want to see how what are these false beliefs that I see a lot, and how you can get rid of these, please watch the next video that's shown on your screen. Thanks for watching me, and assalamu alaikum.